I didn't become a little bit of a slag. I became a total slag.
People will come and slap you down. Then you talk the truth again, they lock you in jail.
You don't have future here. You don't have future. You can never make it. You're supposed to be a dinner man, serving dinner to the students in the secondary school. Because you cannot do basic 1+1. You are here breathing heavy like a dog. Think about your life. You are a failure. You are a failure. You can never make it. You know you cannot make it. You need to be cutting grass, making this place fresh for the actual footballers that want to use this place. You are tired. You are here. What have you done? Useless. Me with my pregnancy, I'm better than you. Idiot.
People will come and slap you down. Then you talk the truth again, they lock you in jail. Then when you are very strong and you talk again, they may kill you. They may even burn your house down, like they burnt my house down at home. Now, when they burn my house finish, some friends who are Africans know they are very afraid of life. Hey fella, yourself, don't talk truth again. You see, they come and tell you not to say the truth again. Then I tell them and say, them never hear anything at all. Then go hear pansa pansa. Pansa pansa means they will hear more and more and more until they can hear no more. Because the truth can never die. When you are revolutionary,
I'm addressing you, my dear, I hope you're listening. Considering that you're high and mighty in the British society, I would like you now to do your mates look a favor. Wendy, I would like you now to do your mate, Dave Smith, a favor. Wendy, I would like you to do your mate, Veli, a favor. Wendy, I would like you to do your mate, Nanifa, a favor. Wendy, by giving them the highest paid QC or KC in this country, their services to take me to court. You understand me? As per usual, what you people do, people like Luke, people like Feli, Nanifa, Dave Smith, you run miles and miles and miles with a story that they don't even know what is going on. That is what you people do. And I'm going to tell you now, you see what's happening to my friend's daughter. I pray to God it happens to those of you that have got grandchildren. It happens to those of you that have got children. It happens to those of you that have got friends and have got children. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying those people. I'm praying to God on a daily basis that happens to your family. Look around. When the war, Fele, Nanifa, the bus driver, whatever he calls himself, you lot, I'm praying. That's going to be my prayer from today. Like it happens to each and every one of your children. If you haven't got any children, your brother's children. If your brother has not got children, your sister's children. If your sister has not got children, your grandchildren. And your great-great-grandchildren, for those of you that have got grandchildren. Yeah.
Why lying for? Why lying for?
I do not give a fuck. I really do not give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck and still don't give a fuck.
Give me wife, give me children, give me this, give me that. Kill my enemy, kill my enemy, kill my enemy. Give me, kill my enemy, give me. Anyone that doesn't want me to succeed, die by fire, die by fire, die by fire, die by fire, die by fire. Give me this, give me that. Kill my enemy, give me that. Give me this, give me die by fire, die by fire, die by fire, die by fire. Give me.
Out to the ladies. Beach settings, infinity. Outside the birthday gang. Outside Shannon. Outside Amber. I am a money maker, hand to the edge, I'm a money maker. For one time, you're a money maker. If you're on this train, money maker. Hand to the air, money maker. For one time, money maker. On this thing, money maker. You see us terminal. You see me. You see me. I ain't watching you, I ain't watching her, I ain't watching him. I got to dance and bubble and sing. Terminal 4 with a terminal 3. Terminal 4 with a cloud of those. When you come to my house, just respect my house. Don't let my house, somebody out of the house. When you come to my house, just respect my house. Blood clots over there. What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Hold on. I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah. Hey, sleep, hold on. Hey, Wiggy, hold on. I'm like, no. Can I please have your attention? I said this is the captain's weekend, and I'm in the terminal 4. Can I please have your attention?
Finish sugar, they know the Benz like Spracker. One bag of weed and bumper clock grabber. One bag of girl like Shabba. Lord, one bag of girl like get dagger. Lord, lick the gal live with the hammer. Lord, make the gal bark with the mama. Lord, make a rascal ball out Jaja. Walk on, you telling me, up in this biatch. How you mean? We got the people them in the block, man. Yeah, fam. Alright, yeah, man. We had a couple long panel shows yesterday and the day before. We might do a panel show a bit later. See, innit, man? We'll see. Yeah, man. Remember, we got a special guest Friday, though, yeah? Yeah. So really, you're supposed to be building up your armor for Friday, you get me? So on Friday, when you come true, yeah? On Friday, when you come true, when you come to my house, just respect my house. How you mean? Yeah, man, so we got the people there in the place, man, yeah? How you mean? You brush your teeth from morning? You all the fresh from morning? How you mean? And you me a rum and garlic. It's alright. Big up man like Simon Harrison did that. How you mean? Old time I said Z3, walk on. What you telling me? Jeez. Old time man like Lewis Dyer did that, walk on. Yeah, old time man like WB. I want them feel alright. Yo, you that man like ultra funky, you know. I am me. You see me. You see me. Hey, watching them, watching them, hey, watching them. I got to bounce and bubble and sick. I am me. Terminal 4, where the terminal goes. Hiya. Carrot. Just it. Yeah, but let's get down to business. I've got bare work to do still, man. So that's why I needed to do a quick show on the way to one of the jobs. I think I've got about half hour, 45 minutes. Yeah? So this one's going to be a quick breakfast wake up one. You hear me, cousin? Alright, so let's start with the question of the day, yeah? And then we're going to roll into something we've been speaking about over the last couple of days. Right. So the question of the day, would Keir Starmer, the human rights lawyer, agree with Bumba Clark Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and his policies? Because it's funny how these people do that, right? Like the politician people, the political people. When they're on the opposite side, or when they're not in power, they're talking about all the things, all the pagan things that the other side are doing. Oh, they shouldn't do that. That's illegal. This is against our treaties of this, that, and the other. But when they're in power, they don't, or they carry on. So it's mad still. Alright, so let me quickly run this video anyway. Yeah? Let it play.
Time for a statement from Keir Starmer on this. They said no. Amnesty International have published a major new report concluding that Israel has committed and are committing genocide in Gaza. We at The National have discovered this 1998 report from Amnesty International. Look at the authors. Yeah, Keir Starmer himself wrote this report for Amnesty International. Here's what it says, that the UK government should strengthen controls on strategic arms exports to ensure that they cannot contribute to human rights violations. It adds, only by doing so will the UK government be able to claim that it has truly and thoroughly put human rights at the heart of its foreign policy. Has Keir Starmer taken the advice from this report that he wrote? Has he banned all arms exports to Israel? He hasn't even said a word. Chris Law, the SNP MP and his party's international trade spokesperson, said it's only right to question whether the human rights lawyer Keir Starmer of then would be impressed with the Prime Minister Keir Starmer of now. What do you think? Oh, we asked Number 10 for a statement from Keir Starmer on this. They said no. Amnesty International have published a major new report concluding that Israel has committed and are committing genocide.
You hear that? You hear that? So, imagine, when man's a human rights lawyer, he's writing about the genocide that's being created or suspected of being created. When man's the Prime Minister, how different things man attack. It's crazy cause, oh my days. Yeah, it's crazy cause like, so that's how you can see the hypocrisy still, man. And you know what happened, yeah? Let me tell you this, yeah, differently, yeah. Let me give you that update, yeah. People get a few chances, innit, yeah? If I see you or you're atting me on random platforms trying to talk about my children, cuz, then are you mad? Like, no, bro, you're not coming back around here. You're out of here, innit? Forget about it. I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear I was just joking. You ain't even got no kids yourself. Fuck off talking about anyone else's kids, you dickhead, man. Fuck off, man. Yeah, so take that as a warning, innit? Yeah, anyone you don't see in the chat no more, yeah, you know why, innit? Yeah, if I hear you typing or I see you typing, yeah, anything to do with my use or so and so, brother, I'm stashing out. Like, who the fuck are you to be even questioning anything that can happen inside my house? The only thing you can question is my opinion. That's it. You can't question nothing else. Yeah. So, if we see you a chat bad, you get chopped. Really and truly, do you want this to be a place of degenerates that insult people's children? Huh? Or do you want more smart people to come round? You might even be able to learn something from them. Yeah, man. So make your choice, cuz. You hear me? Yeah? How you mean? And I don't have to give no one's no fucking warnings. You just get boxed when you get boxed, that's it. You hear me, cuz? And like I was saying, if you're just like an annoying, general, jarring person, you ain't coming right there. What I call that, cuz. I'll just chop you, man. How you mean? Dash where that. So, alright, so let's get into the next video, yeah? Byline Times. Yeah, subscribe to Byline Times YouTube channel. Yeah, they do like a magazine where they speak about all things political. Yeah, let's play.
Calls in his new book, The Alt-Right. It is a conflation between the wave of conservative politics on both sides of the Atlantic, called the alt-right, and the Third Reich of Nazi Germany. Now, you might think that linking the US, the UK, and other European countries now to Hitler and the 1930s is far-fetched, but Nafis draws a line from the eugenicist philosophy of the pre-war era, which held that some races were intrinsically superior to others, and the growth of anti-migrant nationalism today. To be clear, he argues that the modern far right is reminiscent of, but distant from, 1930s fascism. But even so, he sees...
Yeah, that's a fact. And like, this is why it's strange, yeah, that there is a few people of color that want to support these kind of talking points, narratives, and all that sort of stuff there. Because, especially if you've been there long enough. You grew up on the ends, or you lived on a racist end. It's mad. If you lived on a racist end, it's like, bro, you should understand it even more. But it's like some man, they just got hypnotized or brainwashed or something, where it's like, that's the right thing to do. Yeah, to be a second class citizen, to be lower than the other. That someone, imagine some useless piece of shit can open their mouth and just insult you just because your skin's not the same color as theirs. What the fuck? And you should just accept that, and we should be happy with that. I don't think so, man. I don't think we should. Yeah, I actually don't think that we should do that still. Yeah. We should have never do it. How you mean? Talking about. Alright, let it play.
A serious threat to liberal democracy. Nafis, welcome along. And I want to start by talking about that strand of the book, because although Nazism was defeated in World War II, you make a pretty persuasive argument that some of the ideas that lay behind it survived after the war, not in Germany, but in the United States.
That's right. And I think I was quite shocked to see the extent to which some of these ideas that the Nazis were essentially mainstreaming. And it's not to say that they necessarily originated all of these ideas. I mean, I think a lot of the kind of eugenics thinking certainly wasn't unique to Nazism. It was lying around for quite a while, linked to kind of social Darwinist kind of views. Definitely there was a link to old kind of colonial paradigms and how they were making sense of the difference between superior European civilization and the natives that they were encountering. So there were lots of different complex ideologies. But what was interesting was that Nazi Germany was perhaps one of the purest efforts.
You know what? Yeah, you know them old days. The people spoke truth, or more truthfully, and a lot more open in it. So a man would really say that they feel like you're inferior. Yeah, because in public and shit. So acting like there isn't no people that actually hold these thoughts is brazy. More than brazy. What? Yo, imagine thinking that like another human is just inferior. Imagine like thinking that because you come from England, you're inferior to everyone else. Like, obviously you wouldn't accept that, right? So that is why the people that come from these backgrounds, countries and places just don't accept that they're inferior to other people, right? Now, of course you're not going to accept that. You mad? Behave yourself, man. Oh, yeah, let it play.
I think to really implement some of these ideas through an industrial scale political program. And of course, after the Nazis were defeated, most of us assumed that that was the end of it. And what we've got left is a kind of scrabbling around of far right disparate groups. But I thought what was quite shocking for me was seeing how the Nazis, when they were formulating their ideas, were actually inspired by American ideologues and racists and eugenicists. There were many German scientists and politicos who were actually in contact with American scientists and politicos. And they were sharing ideas about how to deal with this unruly mass of kind of unhumans, if you want to call them that. On the one hand, there was definitely a consensus that Jewish people were inferior, subhuman, whatever you want to call it. But there was also...
Yeah, well, yeah, me, but you know, the special group don't get left out either, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so they used to think Jewish people was inferior. Who else did they think was inferior? I wonder who.
An agreement that it wasn't just Jews, it was also black people, Africans. There was a general.
Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Yeah, I man. Sweep over my soul. Man, oh my days. You get me? The poor old blacks. Huh? Yeah, man. Yo, I swear down, the people that don't really get it. Yeah. How comes the blacks always the targets? Huh? The blacks. God damn. The blacks can't relax. How you mean? Yeah, man, the blacks can't kick back. What they talking about, cuz, man? Let the blacks them relax, cuz. You hear me? Cool out, relax, and hear the sex. Smooth on your head like Dax. Trust me. Just don't allow the blacks. Let us spit facts and get back to raising mad. Trust me, yo. Yo, allow the black now. Mad, God, then. Let it play.
Discussion within the United States going on at that time around the problem of Jewish and African immigration and what to do with all of these Africans who are currently here. We need to do something about these people. There was a general idea about the kind of reduction in intelligence of the American population due to these unruly groups. There was a lot of sharing of ideas, and it was fascinating to see how a lot of the Nazi laws that they were implementing against the Jews were inspired by things that are going on in America. There was a parity there, like the sterilization laws were to some extent inspired by what the Americans were suggesting, and there were laws being explored in Congress. Some of them were passed. Once that happened, the Americans were then inspired by what the Nazis were implementing. And it was this kind of horrifying, vicious circle of ideas. So when the Nazis were defeated, they were actually.
Yo. They done this sterilization thing in India as well, you know. Yeah, around the colonies, they're doing this sterilization thing where they try and make the people them not have kids. Because of stuff like, you get me, the progenitor of these great replacement theories and sort of stuff there. So, understanding where the original thought comes from and who are propagating and what their thoughts are, what their circles are, is extremely important. You get me? Great replacement theory, you know. Bamba Clark, cuz. Hey, you know what, cuz? I don't think we're gonna get past that still. Yeah. But anyway.
People in the United States who were quite upset about it. In particular, an organization called the Pioneer Fund, which is just central to this story. And they just keep cropping up all the time. They were talking to mainstream people that you and I have heard of, influencing their thinking, people like Jordan Peterson, even Elon Musk. But their ideas promoted by the Pioneer Fund became increasingly popular over the decades. And what was this Pioneer Fund? So interestingly enough, it was a foundation that was set up in the 1930s. And that was where a lot of the kind of cross-contamination was going on between the United States and Nazi Germany. And those guys, after the war, basically continued their activities. But I think there was a big awareness that you couldn't wear the flag. You couldn't openly kind of be like, yeah, we loved Hitler. Because obviously everything had changed, the landscape had changed. So they had to tactically shift. And so what they did is they focused a lot more on African Americans and they started combating the civil rights movement. And that was what was really fascinating for me, is to see how you had Nazi ideology making its way into these groups, you know, the Ku Klux Klan, who were kind of on the thuggish hard end of that, but also on the kind of softer but still virulent end. You had Congress people and various politicians in the Republican Party who were being lobbied by the Pioneer Fund for decades to take a very harsh stance on civil rights activism and to crack down. And they were motivated by these same ideas. And they began funding scientific racism, eugenics. One of the kind of big things they were talking about was this idea of race and IQ. So they kind of moved away from the traditional focus on anti-Semitism and tried to shift to this broader idea that actually the issue is simply that there's a hierarchy of races biologically, and that has a link to IQ, that has a link to class. And it ends up with this interesting political frame, which we're all very familiar with, which is the idea that there's no point having a welfare system of any kind. There's no point helping poorer people or minorities, because the reason they're in the state that they're in is not because of the system, because there's problems with society or there's actual organizational structures or policies that went wrong. These people are just dumb and stupid and incapable, and it's because of genetics, and there's not really much anyone can do about it. So stop doing welfare state things, stop trying to interfere, let the market do its thing. So this dovetailed with free market extremism.
Oh, that sound familiar? Jeez. Crazy, isn't it? It's mad, isn't it? And it's mad, yeah, that might even be or might be close to needing stuff like the NHS, I don't know, anything to do with the benefit system, because the majority of benefits that are paid is actually received by pensioners. You know? And the majority of Tory voters are pensioners. Pardon me. So that's why, although Tories were affecting benefits, they was making sure that pensioners were locked in it. That's their main voting base. Yes, they cut benefits for young people, cut public services for everyone, but made sure that the pensioners' pension didn't dip out too hard. Even slapped in a winter fuel payment. Yeah, pensions is benefits, man. Are you silly? State pension, yeah, is the largest part of the benefits paid out. Yeah, it's still a benefit. Yeah. And then there's a pension support benefit that you can claim if you're only on state pension in it. So the people that are on just state pension and the pension support benefit, they're allowed to claim the winter fuel allowance still. Yeah. Yeah, Google it, man. Google it before you chat to bad man. How you mean? Yeah, man. How you mean? Before you chat to bad man, before you're chatting a bad man for yes. Man. Let it play.
What I was really surprised to see is how some of the organizations that are almost in some ways household names, if you're kind of a nerd and familiar with this kind of stuff, Heritage Foundation in Washington, D.C., one of the most influential conservative think tanks. Here in the UK, you've got the Tufton Street Network, that at Byline Times, we've been really kind of trying to dig into the nefarious role that they play in our politics.
I was on Tufton Street the other day. It's mad, isn't it? Every time they say that, yeah, I'm like, I work on bare properties on Tufton Street. Yeah, it's a benefit, man. Stop being silly, man. Episode. You pay national insurance and tax for your whole life. Yo, yeah, so you pay tax, national insurance for your whole life or whatever. Some people might not have even paid into a pension fund, but everyone's entitled to state pension. So it only just came into like law that they had to make you pay into your pension. You have to opt out of paying into your work pension now. So state pension's a benefit now. And state pension ain't dependent on how much time you've worked. Obviously, you have to pay a certain amount of national insurance to claim it. But there's people that's claimed benefits for their whole fucking life. And they get state pension. Talking about that. Yeah, but that's the biggest part of the benefits budget goes to pensions payment. But anyway, so it plays.
Institute of Economic Affairs, for instance, was a big one. Now, these two organizations were very much interlinked, and I was shocked to see that one of the people, Charles Murray, who wrote The Bell Curve, which is largely considered the Bible of scientific racism, drawing very much on research funded by the Nazi-aligned Pioneer Fund, Charles Murray was incubated very much by these same organizations. The Heritage Foundation entertained his ideas. In fact, he flew out, paid for by Rupert Murdoch, to the IEA here in the UK, met Margaret.
But yeah, them things there. So Rupert Murdoch, part of the IEA, is it? Yeah. Flew out. It's his name Charles Murray. Bell Curve, Mr. Bell Curve. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wrote that. Obviously, like, your race is linked to your IQ. And then man, they're supporting that. And obviously, like, Rupert Murdoch controls a lot of the media and the news that we receive within the UK. So if he's favourable to thoughts like that, obviously the news is going to have that kind of bias, right? There's a hierarchy of races. Instead of like simple ass belly just saying at the base level we should just start on showing each other respect in it. Yeah. Like it shouldn't, your race and all that shouldn't matter. If that was true, yeah, a lot of the arguments for and against all these different sides of what you guys are calling supremacist groups, yeah, they would literally fall away because the studies wouldn't show that. It would show that, do you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't. You couldn't make a report showing that people were treated badly, or people are more likely to be stopped, or less likely to get so and so opportunity because they come from said background. But it's while those different inequalities are at the forefront, then it's mad still. I don't know if you guys know, yeah, but like the wealth inequality gap is growing. Like if you're a have not, yeah, the haves are harshly accumulating us. So you better start getting your savings on that. Trust me, cuz. Get your savings on, innit? Yeah, open a savings account, cuz. Start saving something, innit? Like, fucking hell, at least £10 or something. Start somewhere, fam. Fucking hell.
Thatcher met people in Downing Street speaking about his ideas about the welfare state, was commissioned by the Sunday Times to publish learned articles about the problems with welfarism, problems of the British underclass, and all this kind of stuff. So these ideas seeped into mainstream conservatism. This was not just an accident, it was the result of a concerted effort to essentially lobby and kind of influence mainstream right-wing thinkers along these lines, and a process that took place over decades, and I believe has kind of culminated in the situation we find ourselves in now, where actually these ideas are animating the way that very powerful players on the global scene, in American politics, even in British politics, actually think and make decisions on the basis of.
So this scientific racism is one leg of your argument, which you believe has infected the conservative right, both in the United States, here in the UK, and also in Europe, in Hungary, in Germany with the AfD, in France, and so on. There's another leg, though, which I think is very important, which is that at the end of the Cold War, there is a suggestion that the United States might somehow lose authority, might lose power in the world, because without an apparent enemy.
Who's there for a sec, yeah? Like you were saying about the way that the things in America and Europe, the way it is. It's mad still, cuz. It's mad still, cuz. And I'm saying, yeah, like, you're gonna have to show me some brazy sort of evidence to give me at least anything that may convince me about any other person, any other country being the superpower and not the United States of America. God damn. Like, yeah. There's a few people that keep trying to say Israel's the controlling America. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But anyway, though, it's gonna go into the American superpower anyway, man. Yeah. The United States and them things with that cats. The United States of Europe. Hey, don't kill me, cuz.
To be up against, as it had with the Soviet Empire during the Cold War, what would its place in the world be? And it's at this point that Islam becomes, in the eyes of the right, problematic. It kind of replaces communism, doesn't it? And it kind of overlaps with this idea of this group of people who are a threat. How does this sense that conservatism, or this particular strain of conservatism,
But still, you know, for a little while, yeah, it's like racism against the blacks did start to die out, a lie, because the man them was onto the Muslims, cuz. You get me? Hey, oh my days. Yeah, man, the blacks are under pressure again now, still, but like, yo, ease up a little piece, innit? Or at least there's like, there was a new group that got included into this. You know what I'm saying? To everything's your fault, sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's mad still. Nah, Islam's so easy to attack, yeah, that it's like overtaking a lot of the racial attacks. Get me? The racial attacks, you know. Mad, 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 mad. Letteth playeth.
Views people of African heritage as inferior, how does that then become transposed onto Muslims? And how does that then develop into this great replacement theory, the idea that Muslims are seeking to replace, quote, indigenous white people in the United States and Europe?
That's a really good question. And it's interesting because I think one of the most important takeaways from investigating these groups is that it's not a homogeneous network. It's actually quite diverse. And what's interesting is what emerges out of the interlinkages of these different groups with different ways of thinking. And that's what creates the complexity and also makes it a bit unpredictable. But I think there was an overlap between the way these different groups were thinking that created this possibility of, oh, we can converge on a complementary way of seeing things and kind of shapeshift between the different things depending on the issues at hand. One of the ways in to kind of understand this is actually, ironically, the role of the Nazis in the kind of hysterical anti-communist drive during the Cold War. We've had lots of declassified documents now which showed how the CIA and various agencies recruited Nazi intelligence officers because they were a brilliant source of intelligence on the Eastern Front in terms of tracking what the Russians were doing after the fall of Germany. Except they weren't actually brilliant. They were just ideological. And they also were hysterically anti-communist. So what actually happened is those guys saw an opportunity. You had like Hitler's chief spy master, Richard Gehlen, who was recruited to the Office for Strategic Services, which was the precursor group to the CIA, literally recruited, hundreds of these officers. Many of these people were former SS, Nazi war criminals often, and they were put to work. But they invariably, in order to essentially sustain and justify their existence, they had to magnify the Soviet threat. And this is now quite well known. There's loads of CIA officers who've spoken out on the record and said the stuff that we were feeding the Western intelligence, a lot of it was hyped up. It was just not true. We were constantly saying that the Soviets were on the brink of invading. And while this was convenient for these guys, maintaining their jobs and maintaining their position and power, it actually wasn't true.
But once the Berlin Wall falls, then, and obviously...
So, what it was that, whether I agree with a religion or not or whatever, it was the chain of events where there was a specific group that this other group was always targeting or pointing at to say they was the issue. Yeah. So the BNP was on on the blacks. But at one, you see what I'm saying? Like, starting with the Enoch Powell thing, yeah? It was Caribbeans, specifically Caribbean men, yeah, have come over to take over. They're going to have the whipping hand over the white man and all that sort of stuff there. Yeah, that was the original start of it. Yeah, so there was that hostility on that side. And people that follow that style of thought was hostile towards black people, specifically Caribbean black people. Yeah. So it's moved on. So Asian people started to get it as well now. So them are doing the P bashing, all that sort of stuff there. Yeah. So, and then the next stage after that was the LGBTQ team. Remember they done an album near Soho. It's near Soho. Right near that nightclub in Leicester Square. They done an album. The Racist done an album. Yeah. In London that was, And then next after that was like the BNP dons and all that was targeting. Just seems like Islam was the target from then onwards. Yeah, so it's the different steps of how these different people were the scapegoat for all the issues that people like a far right group or anyone sympathize or sympathetic to a KKK or BNP dons and NF or Combat 18 or any of them sort of dudes on that sort of level showing the different steps on how it started off there, and now we're here. Yeah, so yeah, man. So man. Hey, all right. So I've got a next little piece to play still. Yeah, you know what? Cause why I didn't do links today? It's like, you know, I pick up Lady D, man. I can't allow Lady D just to do the whole panel for the fucking whole day, Monday to Friday. Man. It's that time in it, yeah. So we'll do a little pay pack in the morning. Might have a little panel too while I get home, and then you know, but the long whole day show things. You know, it's nice to listen to while you're working and shit. It's like fucking. I'm saying it's alright when the people want to do it, innit? But like expecting people to do this, that, and the others, or a long, you get me, a long shift. You know what I'm saying? And then after your long shift, yeah, bad mind people want to do one review. Literally every sentence that you said to try to see if they can catch you on the same level of racism that they've been caught out on previously. It's bad. Yeah, you hear me? These streets don't love you like I do. You need for no other. Man, how you mean? Trust me. Yo. Oh my days. Yeah, man. So, that's funny though, isn't it? Yeah? You know what's funny, yeah, is that although we can rewind people's mixtapes and slap them up saying mad racist words or whatever, the outrage that they're showing, yeah, the content that they're showing for the word half breed or whatever, mixed breed, I swear someone just informed me the other day that Wendy used that as an insult against Nixie. So if that's true, that Wendy's used that as an insult against Nixie previously, but then jumped on G Block to go wild about EIE using it as an insult against Nixie, I think it was, or Buddha, is extremely hypocritical. Like, extremely hypocritical. Like, that's crazy. Like, damn. You know? Let me say this, man. You know, people pull out of this YouTube thing and this, that, and the other, man. But, you know, I ain't got an issue with any of the people that still, like, you know? And the Grandem don't like me, innit? Yeah? But I don't not like the Grandem, innit? Yeah? I ain't got hate for you. It's just the truth, innit? Cuz, man. The facts are facts. You know what I'm saying? Like, this, the truth, though, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, you like, you man are racist, fam. It is what it is, cuz. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, you're older ladies, innit? Like, I would never, like, try to physically harm you or whatever. Or even direct people to attack you and all that sort of shit. You know what I mean? Like, be serious. Like, even the shit with, like, raw. let's fucking go and box this one, that one, and the other. Like, any of them old dons, cuz, man, ain't going to box out of them, cuz, man. Full stop. Behave yourself, man. That's just bullshit, cuz. You know what I'm saying? Like man said, man was going carny on the Sunday. Yeah. So, and man parked round the corner from Speaker's Corner. Yeah. So it's that. Alright, let me quickly roll up there. Here, let me run back. Let me run through there on the way back. Yeah. That's why I'm out there full dry and shit. I like, man was in carny and that. Man, come back. Jerk chicken off and bear crow. Quickly lit Banksy outside Speaker's Corner. Saw that boxing thing. Like, on the level, yeah. There was people boxing there, like, so if I really wanted to fight someone that was fighting and that shit, I could have had a sparring match against one of them boxing dogs. It's like alien business. You know what I mean? But on the real though, back to the facts though, innit? Can't stop that. That ain't changed. But yo, is that a spot? Oh my ditty. Stop it. I said, oh dog. I'm like, nah. Change moving now, belly, duh. I'm no longer racist. Imagine Wendy's dinner. I'm no longer a racist, okay? Now leave me alone. I don't know, cause like, and even yeah, like I think you should not forget, right? You can forgive people, innit, but you don't have to forget. Like, you know, you didn't have to go on no apology tour to me or whatever. I was just like, right, that's racist, isn't it? Like, right, at the time when you called Esau the N-word and all that, I was like, right, that's racist. Cause you mad? He didn't even call you anything racist. You get me? He just called you a biatch. And you know, people have called you worse than that now. You got tougher now, innit? You got tougher now, innit? God damn. Oh, the internet is. It's mad. I don't know, in real life, no one's ever walked up to me and tried to insult, like, my children or my missus or whatever. That's weird. You just want to do that. On YouTube, they will do. That's weird. You know what I mean? I say, go on, man. Alright, go on then. So, obviously, he's shown here that, like I was been trying to explain here to my brother Nixie, that this great replacement theory has come out of some real Hitler circles. You get me? From Adolf's armpit, this thing rise up from. Yeah? So, yeah, that's where that, man. Look at that, my oats. You see? Wow. Alright. Hey, listen, though. God damn. See, you know what's mad, so bad, man, about these people? Everyone wants to try to, not everyone, yeah. Only these poor souls keep talking about how they want to take someone's job, so and so. We're like, bro, I just want to point out the truth, the facts. You get me? The facts are, you said this, and you're claiming these other people were this, but you won't give yourself the title yourself. That's a hypocrite. You get me? Oh, man. Everyone wants to take someone's job out here. Oh, I'm going to take their job before Christmas. Next Christmas, you're still going to be doing the same job with a promotion or something. You might even move on to a new company or... Crazy still. I wouldn't pay none of that and no attention. Like, for instance, these men have had so many different addresses that they've had for people, and not one of them have turned up at someone else's address. So, yeah, nah, ban all that, man. Anyone saying they want to see take someone's job because of an argument on YouTube is a waste. Forget that. That's long. That's the fucking argument on YouTube. No, man. That shit's stupid.
Many of those former Nazis who were then working for the United States had passed away in any event. How does that then become a war on Islam? How do Muslims come to replace communism as the perceived enemy of the West?
After the Cold War, there was this period of time where, if you're looking at the national security thinking of the former Cold Warriors, they were scrambling around looking, what is the next big thing? And there was a lot of internal soul searching about how do we maintain American primacy in the absence of a huge threat. And one of the most interesting documents that's emerged from this period came out in the year 2000 by this think tank called the Project for the New American Century, run by kind of the neoconservatives that rallied around the Bush administration. They actually say they've got this grand plans about Americans need to do this, need to do that, need to go in the Middle East. The Middle East is really exciting and interesting because of the oil and the gas, and they're quite candid about stuff. And then they say, well, how are we going to do this? Well, the only way we can do this is if there's this perception of this massive, unprecedented threat. Obviously, there isn't the Soviet Union anymore. So what could it be? Well, they're scratching their heads and they're like, well, maybe it's Saddam Hussein. And that was just one example. If you look at what was coming out at that time, there was an increasing interest in the Muslim world and the Islamic world. And of course, at the same time, we had these relationships with governments like Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, which had been involved during the Cold War in financing Islamist militants. And so we were busily creating the problem in a way. And so when that blowback actually did blow up in our face, and we had in the 1990s, various different terrorist attacks started, bin Laden started to mobilize, but then obviously 9/11 was the big culmination. And that changed everything. That was when the entire national security apparatus, now on the back of 9/11, was able to look at the Muslim world and say, that's the threat. So it was building up to that. And you can see that there was already a tendency to think in a very oversimplistic way. So those trends were there. Oh, it's communism. Communism is the enemy. It's the Soviets. Soviets are everywhere. So this way of generalizing about the threat and saying it's them, it's all of them. That was already a problem in the way the national security establishment worked. So after 9/11, and with all of that thinking going on, it just fit into place. It was, oh, Al-Qaeda, Saddam Hussein, they're the same. Go into Iraq, go into Afghanistan, go everywhere in the Muslim world. That's the threat.
So part of the argument that you're making is that the West, or governments that were sympathetic to the West, like Saudi Arabia, like Pakistan, actually helped to nurture these militant Islamist groups, but that also the way of thinking that was already in train in the Cold War era allowed Western security, United States security services to transpose the communist threat onto Islamists. But that then became something which impacted all Muslims living in the West, because they were, in the eyes of, again, a certain strain of conservative thinking, they were all seen as suspect, all seen as a threat, which is something that still plays out on the streets today, played out in the Southport riots in the UK, for example, when Islamists were wrongly blamed for that terrible and tragic attack. Another strand of this argument is that we're in an...
Yo, so you see, like, you know what is mad, yeah? Like, with people with like without no education on how to do journalistic research, but may have been affected by some of the stereotyping and scapegoating of the thingamabobs. Yeah, if because you might have been someone that was involved or affected by that. Like that's where you can see the similarities between what happened in One Piece and what happened. Even if it's like, as you know, I'm definitely not a Muslim. Right? I've done 10,000 shows speaking about how much I disagree with this verse, that verse, and so and so that part, and blah blah blah, and ra ta ta, and there, here, there, and everywhere. Yeah. So, but because I'm not on this scapegoating, on this fucking let's bully the small fucking guy business and all that sort of stuff there. Like, I can see how that's playing out, cuz, and you know, like people are. That's the new target now, isn't it? Yeah. Even if there is things that like bad apples in all communities. Of course, there's bad black people. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that people weren't being racist to black people at the time, innit? You know what I'm saying? Like, so of course there's bad Muslims, but it doesn't mean that people ain't heightening up the air quotes threat of an Islamic takeover of the UK to a higher level than it actually is. You know what I'm saying? This is Remix in History. Afghan was a sponsor to 9/11, and Iraq was the second front because Saudi Arabia was off the table. Yeah, it's mad, but Saudi Arabia's got much more human rights abuse than Saddam Hussein and that. The man them don't invade them. They're man are allies, isn't it? So you know these. No, I do like JB though, yeah, because you know he's against the majority of what man's saying on the opposing side still, yeah, unless it's something that is nothing to do with my side versus his side of whatever the argument is. And it's just whoever's telling the truth, man, might fucking, or whoever he feels perceives to be telling the truth, he'll take that argument then and that stuff. But yeah, it's still a jar though, isn't it, man? Yeah, so yeah. Big up and smile up. How you mean? Hey, all my pagans have run away now. Yeah? How you mean? Yo, imagine the pagans had to run away. Yeah, we talking about? You man don't know about having agans and making them agans run away from in YouTube. Yeah, the man them have run away from typing no, mad. Oh my days, that's crazy. Yeah, that's how you know what time it is. Yeah. These man have been trolling man for how many years? Huh? Huh? Like about 7, 8 years. Yeah. Yeah, because yo, and we made them man run, fam. How you mean? Yeah, you're lucky we ain't got Respect's old tune. Run, devil man, run, devil man, run. Run, devil man, run, devil man, run. Run, devil man, run, devil man, run. Fireban. Oh my days. Hey, no, that used to be funny still. Yeah, like on Respect show. He's having a debate with Raj. Raj jumps on at like 2 in the morning or something. Yeah, me. Them man start arguing and shit, yeah. Man will dash Raj off, yeah. Just play run, never man, run. Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's classic Lions then, you know. Classic Lions then. Mad. Yeah. Raj was a funny character still. Like, again, yeah, Raj used to be on the opposite side of the majority of arguments that I was making or whatever. But because the man showed respect and I showed him respect or whatever, there wasn't really nothing much to argue on, innit? Other than the actual point. Now I'm saying, imagine I had bare arguments with Sophia Lewis in the actual speaker's corner, you know. Mad. And even fucking Steve the Atheist. The only thing we agreed on was that we just disagreed on religion. Everything else we was arguing with. That's funny still. This is the Pilgrim of the Raj. Look at them. I remember the bare people marching behind Raja's speaker's corner, and Raja's got like a CCTV unit around his body. He's got like 20,000 cameras. Yeah. Hey, Raja's got cameras on his back. Huh? Raja's got a camera on his back. You know that? Raj is looking like a CCTV robot. Yeah, looking like RoboCop, but just obviously ain't got a gun or nothing. He's just got bare cameras. Yo, imagine when man gets home and takes off the camera. Imagine all the different recordings from different angles man's got. Must look mad. Yeah. Yeah, Roger's got people pulling crazy faces when they don't think they're looking. You know, like. Mad. He had a camera on his back and that, cause Roger's mad still. Yeah, hey, you know what's funny, yeah? When Jedi knocked over Roger's chest piece. No, oh my days, that was funny because okay, Raj glued him down, yeah, and Raj was vexed. Yeah, Raj got vexed with Jedi cuz, oh my days, yeah. I swear the next time he glued down the chess pieces in it so you can't phone them. I'm playing chess, you're playing checkers. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. Raj glued them. That's us. Nah, Raj is a lunatic, cuz I'm playing chess, you're playing checkers. Yo, Raj is funny, man. I swear down, yeah. Yeah, nah, those were classic Speakers Corner days. That's on COE right now, cuz. Yeah. Oh, my days. What you said? He had the panic button on his wrist. Nah, hey. No. Right, officer. Remember, Raj, that's Raj's bar, you know. Officer. Yeah, he's going to snitch on you. Yes, I will snitch. I'm like, Lord of mercy. You know what's mad, yeah? It's that, just hearing someone say that just loud and proud, yeah, where it's just that not being promoting and sort of not being a grass, not being a snitch, not being an informer. Yeah, so if you come from a working class circle, yeah, then you grew up with the same shit. Don't be a grass, yeah. Don't be a fucking grass, a telltale, yeah. Don't be a snitch, an informer, and so. You get me, yeah. And Raj just comes in, yes, I will snitch. Officer! Oh my days. Yeah, but still. Alright, God, let me play the rest still. Yeah, trust me. Wait, sack mate. Mad. Yeah, nah, Raj. Yeah, I swear you had to, I couldn't remember if you knocked it down, yeah, or if you had him glued down. He's- Nah. He had him glued down. It's like only a lunatic like Raj would glue down the chess pieces and then bring them to Speaker's Corner and open it up and have it sitting there. Because he knows someone will want to box over one of the chess pieces. Yeah? Nah. Only a lunatic would do that still, cuz man. Yeah, big up Raj, cuz he's a madman. He's a madman. Like, bro, listen. Alright, listen. Press 1 in the chat if you would bring a chess set to Speaker's Corner
with the parts glued down to make your point that you're playing chess and they're playing checkers. Press 1 if you would do that. Like, no, none of you would do that, cuz. Yeah, because you weren't on it as serious as Raj was on it, cuz. He was serious about the game. He was serious. Just because none of you would have did it, fam. Yeah. Alright, but listen, yeah, I'm gonna run the rest of this video, then we out in it, man. Yeah. So if you don't like me, it's all come on out.
Era when fossil fuels are still extremely important, but the amount of energy used to extract is making it increasingly economically difficult to do so. Again, how do you tie that to these other streams of argument that you put forward?
Before we get to that, just to address the point you mentioned before about, you know, how does this tie in with the anti-black racism and even the anti-Semitism, and, you know, how does that relate? Obviously, we can see the thread, but what's interesting is that there were different groups. I don't think the groups behind Project for a New American Century were motivated by eugenics, for instance. They were national security managers, they were neoconservative, they had a particular view, and they fed this otherization of Muslims, perhaps unwittingly, but some of it was deliberate, but some of it was unwitting. Well, I think what's interesting is to see how, at the same time that that happened, you had a lobbying group like the Pioneer Fund also actively trying to push forward its ideas. And then you saw an intersection. So I think by the time you get to the late 2000s, in the context of now the national security apparatus is very, very obsessed with threats from the Islamic world. I mean, notice very little soul searching about what was our role in actually kind of fanning the flames of the ability of Islamist terrorist groups to do what they did. Instead, it was like, no, there's a big problem and it's to do with Muslims and Islam and it's a generalized threat. And that began to dovetail with hard right and extreme right thuggish groups like, you know, the BNP in the UK, which around the 1990s began to realize that people are not really interested in that sort of crass racism. And by the time you get to the early 2000s, had quickly shifted to say the focus is on migrants. The migrants are the problem. And then, no, the focus is actually on Muslim migrants. Muslim migrants are the problem, kind of chiming into this wave that they see emerging. And a lot of groups did that. They said, we're going to have to tactically shift, both in the United States and in the UK, across Europe. And at the same time, underlying that, you got a bunch of people around the Pioneer Fund going around actually saying, well, guys, you know what? There's something that hangs all of this together. Whether you don't like Muslims or you don't like black people, you've got a problem with Jews, problem with migrants. There's one general idea that ties it all together, which is the eugenics idea that these people are all inferior and that we white people, actually white men in particular, are superior, cognitively much more well endowed. And that's why society is like this. And that's why problems like this are coming up. And we need to be able to deal with that. And if only we understood this, we could deal with it properly. So there was that as well. And amongst those guys are people who are actually Nazis. They know that the research comes from Nazis, and they probably also believe in a final solution at some level. But there are other people who might not know, or they might know some of it is, but they think, well, actually, the science is there. I believe in the science. Charles Murray looks like a great scientist, and some of these other people around him look like great scientists. And it's been a concerted effort. And some people buy into it at different levels. So I think what's happened is that ideology is amalgamated in different ways. That's why I call it the alt-right, because I think that there is a core where there are these Nazi ideas, and they've now developed increasing currency. And there are people, very, very prominent people in this movement who don't just believe the outer edges of it. They don't just believe that there's a great replacement theory issue. There's too many Muslims who are trying to take over white people, which is already problematic and racist and mad. They also believe in this biological structure. And that for them is like a hard science thing. It helps them make sense of it. But why is this madness gaining traction? 1945, Nazi Germany is defeated. You would have thought that's the end of it. Even before then, the scientific community overall was already discrediting these ideas, not on the basis of politics, but purely on the basis of empirical research and saying, this is actually just bullshit. It doesn't add up. There's no basis for these ideas. So how did it come back? One of the things that the book does mention is that there's this huge global systemic crisis taking place that many people aren't aware of, and which is driving this kind of destabilization of the world system. And that crisis is fundamentally, it's not the only thing, but it's fundamentally to do with energy. But this concept that I mentioned in the book, energy return on investment, measures a really simple thing, which is how much energy you use to get a certain amount of energy out. And what scientists have found when they've used this metric, and there is a consensus now in the field, that this metric, EROI, energy return of fossil fuels, is essentially hemorrhaging. And it's hemorrhaging over the last 50 years or so. Since 1960, it's gone down by around half, and it's still going down. There is hope because we have new energy technologies which are actually improving their energy returns. And the more you use them, the better they actually get. Like solar, wind, and batteries is one of those, and studies have shown that there actually could be even higher energy returns from those types of energy. But this has created a real crisis in the energy system because we're not moving fast enough. And while we're overwhelmingly dependent on oil, gas, and coal, it means that the lifeblood of our economies, which is ultimately energy, is actually diminishing. And that's what's driving this long-term crisis in inflation. And of course, most conventional economists and governments, not looking beneath the surface at these deeper issues, are just tinkering with the system on the outside and saying, well, how do we deal with this? Well, let's increase our ability to unleash credit, keep lending money into existence, and doing all sorts of things, tinkering with the system. And austerity as well, in order to reduce the burden. And all of that, of course, actually is just massively destabilizing, doesn't deal with the root causes. And so I think what's happening to some extent is we're seeing that the prevailing industrial liberal paradigm that brought us to this point is fraying at the seam. And that's perhaps one thing that the right wing are correct about, but they just don't know why. They recognize that the liberal order is strained. But that's the vulnerability. The only thing really that's driving the rise of the extreme right is the total failure of the industrial liberal paradigm to actually deal with this crisis in a meaningful way that changes people's lives on the ground. And so within that vacuum, I think there's the space now for these really extreme ideas to come to the fore, but obviously they don't work. And I think what we saw with the last 13 odd years of the Tory rule is they're not going to solve the problem. They're only going to make things worse. And we saw that even with the first Trump government. He was there for 4 years, but then they got rid of him. Why? Because he didn't work. He wasn't able to solve the problems. That's the thing that we need to focus on is if they can't solve it, then what is the answer?
So where does that leave us then, Nafeez? Because you paint a pretty dystopian picture of where we are now. Is there hope in this? You talk about in the book about the flaws in Western democracy, but nevertheless, your belief in a style of Western democracy where people can put forward ideas, argue them out, dissenting voices can be tolerated and heard. Can that democracy deliver us a solution that is more progressive, that is kinder than the world you describe in alt-right?
I think that in order for us to navigate this extraordinary situation we're finding us in, we really need to understand where we are. And I think what we're seeing is that this alt-right movement is hell-bent on taking democracy down. And I think that's something that becomes really clear looking at the statements that are coming out from various people associated with very powerful elements of it, whether it's people in the Trump administration, whether it's influencers like Jack Posobiec, who is a far-right influencer who spoke at conservative political action conferences alongside Steve Bannon, openly saying that we're here to overturn democracy. And we didn't get there on the 6th of January when they had the insurrection on Capitol Hill, but we're going to do that now. Donald Trump even saying, if you vote for me, then you won't have to ever vote again. Open contempt for democracy. There's been this rise in this idea that we need to take democracy down. And you hear people like Peter Thiel, the tech giant and owner of Palantir, the giant defense contractor data mining behemoth, also a big funder of Trump, working with Elon Musk and the rest of it, openly saying again that I think democracy is exhausted. And we need to think about different things. But the problem is that their vision is something else. What they're looking at is the superiority of techno-capital. They want to unleash technologically supercharged capitalism onto the world and to use states as a vehicle to do that. In the meantime, marginalize popular will and popular power. And that fits very well with people like Vladimir Putin, who for decades has wanted to take a shot at the West and is seeing these types of groups as an inroad to do that. We're now seeing this in real time. What gives me hope, however, is the reality that what these people are thinking about cannot work, and it won't work, and it will fail. And there's no doubt that it will fail in spectacularly, both dangerously catastrophic and also almost laughably hilarious ways that I think is going to become increasingly clear over time. And while that's happening, it's also important to remember that there's also an inexorable kind of relentless nature to the change that's taking place. Because it's not just that this current system is crumbling and kind of fraying at the seams. There's something new that's coming into being. And it's just happening. Like I mentioned, solar, wind, and batteries. These technologies are scaling at a rate which is completely unprecedented. No one planned it. No one sat down and said that this is what's going to happen. In the same way that smartphones just suddenly exploded onto the scene and just disrupted landlines. And no one really planned it. Once the technology was there and it scaled economically, it just took over. Now, I think we're at a point where we're seeing this opportunity to do things differently. We can have clean energy. We can organize our economies in a better way. There are loads of different models and experiments emerging all over the world, which give us a way of seeing how we can do democracy better. So rather than saying, just get rid of it, what we need to do is focus on how we improve it. And over the next decade, what we're going to see is that these guys who are coming in saying they've got the answers they are going to fail. So we need to play the long game. We need to say that this is the alternatives, these are the answers, but that also means embracing the reality that we have to have total transformation. We can't just say, continue with the same liberal paradigm as it is. We've got to take the best of what we have and radically improve it in order we can make things better for everybody.
Fascinating stuff, Nafees. Thank you so much for your time. As I think people listening to this will be able to tell, your book, Alt-Right, is a work of deep research, of intense intelligence, and it is available now via Byline Books. Alt-Right by Nafees Ahmed. I'm Adrian Goldberg. You've been listening to the Byline podcast. If you want to support our work, don't forget as well to take out a subscription to the Byline Times. It's our fantastic monthly news periodical, which contains the best of our online offerings and content that you can't read anywhere else. Maybe you could even take out a subscription for Christmas for somebody else as well, along with buying Nafees' book too. So head over to bylinetimes.com to find out how you can take out a subscription and how you get hold of Nafees' book. Thanks very much indeed for listening. Thank you, Nafees. We'll see you again soon. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
All right, big up, man. Yeah, big up you lot. Listen, I'm out now still, man. So we'll see you a bit later. Drive time, innit, man? Let it play.